Okay, so we're going to talk about affirmative two commands, which I will now put in the review. There we go. Affirmative two commands. Hopefully, y'all learned this last year in Spanish too. But basically, just like we talk to people in the to form or the usted form, there's two different ways to give commands in the to form and the usted form. The two commands in the affirmative form are the easiest ones to remember. But the way that I like to tell them to y'all is they are very easy, but keep in mind that they're actually the freaks here. Because when we get to negative two commands and usted commands, those are all the same and they follow the same patterns. Affirmative two commands do not. So these are the freaks, but right now they're going to be the easiest to learn. So hopefully you already know how to give affirmative commands to someone you address as to. And the only thing you have to do is use the third person form of the verb or the usted form of the verb. So actually third person is probably a better way to think of it. For example, camina por la puerta is the affirmative to command of to tell someone to walk through the door. So instead of caminas, because that would be the to form of the verb, when I turn it into a command, I say it like this, camina por la puerta. And with the verb comer, I would say come la cena instead of comes la cena. Comes la cena means you eat the dinner, and then come la cena means eat the dinner. Or you eat dinner and eat dinner. Abrir becomes abre because the LAO-stead form of abrir is abre. And so abre el regalo is open the gift. Some verbs have irregular affirmative to commands. Many of them are just the yo-go verbs or a few of the other kind of weird yo-go verb type verbs that we learned at the beginning of the year, which is why we'll be doing a reminder course on yo-go verbs. So you basically just take the yo form of the verb and you drop the go. For example, poner in the yo form is pongo, so when I drop the go, then the command form becomes pon. Another example would be tener, and the yo form is tango, and when I drop the go, it becomes ten. Mantener, this is kind of like when I was telling y'all before, kind of like with participles, if it has a prefix, you just keep the prefix and then add the rest of the verb. So the yo form of mantener is mantengo, and then the command form would be manten. Now you'll notice that there's actually a accent over the E, and that's because we want tener to be the star of this verb no matter what. And so we have to put the accent over the E so that it gets pronounced manten instead of manten. Decir's yo form is digo, and its command form when I drop the go is di. So those are all pretty easy, right? Salir, salgo, and the command form would be sal. Venir becomes vengo, and the command form would be ven. Hacer and ser and ir have irregular two command forms that must be memorized because they're just weird. So hacer becomes as, ser becomes se with an accent, and ver becomes ve without an accent. Se gets an accent because, let me cover it up maybe. If you kind of covered that up right now, it looks like a reflexive pronoun, right? Me, te, se, nos, se, right? So we need the accent there so that people know it's a verb. The yo form of the verb saber, by the way, is also se. So when you see say in a sentence, you just have to look at the context and say, is somebody giving a to command or is somebody saying, I know how to do something? Usually when people use say in the affirmative way, like in the positive way, then they'll say yo sé. So that usually will help you understand that they're talking about I know instead of the to command. But here's the two commands. Hacer becomes as, ser becomes se, and ir becomes ve. And again, you need to memorize them. There's a nifty little phrase that you can memorize to remember affirmative to commands only. and that is that Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. But now I'll say it with a German accent, which is Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. You're welcome. I actually got that from Mr. Curry. I'm not sure where he got it, but it's awesome. Anyway, that's how you can remember your irregular affirmative to commands. That includes all the go verbs that were removed of their go to make the short command. So keep that in mind. Now, when you have pronouns associated with verb commands, um, those pronouns are attached to those affirmative commands. So you'll also need to add an accent in most cases unless it was a single syllable command. So a lot of these guys right here, the Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. Sorry, it's not. There we go. A lot of these guys um, are are not going to need an accent when you add one pronoun to the end of them. But if you did a verb like uh, ayudarme, so, or like ayudar, and then I'm telling you to help me. So ayuda is the original verb, and right now I'm covering up the me with my pinky. So ayuda is the only verb I see, and originally it's ayuda, so I know the stress goes over the u, so I put the accent there, and then I attach the me to the end of it. The other way to do it is to count three vocales, three vowels, one, two, three from the end, and that's almost always where you put the accent. There's always a few weird exceptions to that rule, but that usually will work. Another one, dime la verdad. I don't need an accent because D was a one syllable command, but explica was a two syllable command, explica, a three-syllable command. So when I added le onto the end of it, then I needed to count back one, two, three vowels and put that accent. The only time that the three vowel count back doesn't work is if you're adding two pronouns to the end of a verb, or if you have a diphthong, which is two vowels that are making a special sound on their own. And we'll talk about that later. And that's it for affirmative to commands.